now continues.
Now for two other villains, and oh my god,
Yeah.
we hate these guys with a passion.
Oh no. No.
Yep, we got it. Yep, Specs and Trapper.
Sorry, I'm going for two!
A pair of conceited jackass students from the Vanmore Institute of Science. They both worked under Alva Sr. until they were fired for incompetence and repeated failures. And I had to put these in the notes because unfortunately it's warranted here. Condescending assholes, science geniuses, eventually attempted revenge against Alpha for firing them, and almost killed Edwin Alpha's son. They also became temporary supervillains called Spectral and Speed Trap. God, what creative names they have. Your thoughts, guys? I want to kill them.
Please let them burn to ashes.
Honestly, the fucking what pisses me off that much, and where Alpha Senior got some credibility, is when he legit snapped at them for when they kidnapped Static, and not only that, what I hate the Spectre and Trapper the most for is when they kidnapped his son and shit. And they were gonna put a fucking bomb on him. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all?
They felt cheated.
Maybe if they got rid of that old gee-ass glasses, they get some bitches on their dick.
Oh my god. Like, to put a, like, with Specs and Trapper, good lord. And I just want to point this out. While this was technically not a, like, the one thing with Specs and Trapper that really irritated me was just simply because the reason I hated them so much up till now is because they reminded me of when I had to, with the bullies I had to deal with growing up. They were that bad, if not worse. And, like, I think we could all say Specs and Trapper are, like, literally the worst supervillains. Like, not just in terms of their scheming and shit, but in terms of their overall personalities. They're just complete douches. Plain and simple.
Their episodes are an automatic skip, and they should just freaking go away.
No, not all of them. I will have to point this out, though. I'll give them some credit for something, though. Just this little bit. They actually helped Alva become a better human being, at least. I mean, there's some irony there, but it's true.
Fair point.
That's pretty much all they were good for, if you think about it. Well, that and helping Rubber, and indirectly helping Rubber Bandman, with, helping defuse a nuclear reactor they stole.
16 letters. Too long for clockwise. It's gotta say counterclockwise.
Just, yeah. Okay, now we can move on to notable characters. Well, actually, before we do, there was technically one other villain, but it was very short-lived. I gotta point this one out. This jackass named Aaron, way back in season 1, I believe. He had a younger brother who got Bang Baby powers, and he basically used his little brother to commit crimes. Basically said, "Oh, you're my little brother" and all that. But what he was really doing was basically just abusing him and using him and taking advantage of his powers.
Oh god, I remember that asshole.
Yeah, his name was Aaron. Like, well, I can't remember his full name when they listened to the series, but he was a douche. And this was one of the first episodes that shows that not every supervillain, there's like sometimes there's no real villain, and sometimes the villain is not always who you think it is.
For example, what a villain you would see as a villain, but not who you think it is. Permafrost, for example. She's not really a villain per se.
No.
I say she's
just a lost soul.
Her mother died a few years ago. Her stepfather wanted nothing to do with her. Before long, she ended up on the street.
Yeah.
She's a lost soul, plain and simple. So, yeah, what a douche for that. But she also completely freaked out, understandably so, because she was a little kid. She lost her mom. Her stepfather was an abusive dick. And she was basically taken to child services where she unfortunately ran away. Yeah, her past is not a happy one.
Those families, all happy and warm in their homes. When you're homeless, people look right through you. It's like you're not even there. I thought when I got these powers, things would get better for me. They didn't.
The world does not treat her too kindly, and there was mostly one kind soul that really helped her out the most, and that was Static. And
Yep.
the only reason he was able to help her out was because he lost his mom too.
Mm-hmm.
So she was able to get the help she needed, but
Eventually, but she was most likely very traumatized from not just her loss of her mom, the abuse from her stepfather, but also whatever hell she most likely endured living on the streets. That's a rough combination, no matter how many ways you put it.
the thing is, I can't say I fully blame her because, given what's happened to her and the much stress she had, and she couldn't really find anyone that would actually help her, I can't say I blame her for what her choices did. Sure, it was not good, but she was lost.
She was trying to survive. Like she was and she was also a bang baby for record, hence the name Permafrost. She basically had ice powers, and put it this way, she almost snowed out the entire city of Dakota by herself. God forbid if Ebon got to her first. I think we can only imagine just how much damage Ebon would cause if he manipulated her into joining his crew.
She is like an adorable cinnamon roll that should be protected.
She is one of the characters with the most depressing backstory I've ever fucking heard.
Mm-hmm.
But I am glad she got the help she needed.
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid, like you said, Hazard, Ebon would have gone to her first. If that did happen, I would have been hella pissed.
Yeah. I also want to point out one more notable character before we move on from characters and talk about some episodes and other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about a very wise and respectful person throughout the entire fucking series, and that would be Virgil's dad. I feel like he deserves some recognition and credibility throughout the series, given what he's done.
He played possibly the biggest role in this series, if you think about it. Even though he wasn't, like at the front, he played arguably the biggest role because of what he did for Virgil as a father and what he did for kids as a counselor.
Well, I know your kind, Foley. I've seen your kind all my life. A fine, upstanding bigot. His nose so close to the grindstone he can't see anything else. Meanwhile, the world changes and grows, and he's blind to it. Ignorant. And proud of that, too. And you know the worst part?
I'm sure you'll tell me.
You've got a terrific son. One of the best and brightest around. And because of the way you are, you'll never really know him.
Which was his job. I'm gonna say it right now. I don't care if y'all could fight me on this, but best father character ever. Fight me.
Honestly, no complaints here. I mean, there's a lot of good father figures and stuff. He's not the best, but he's definitely one of them.
I'd say top 3 easily. Fight me on that. And yeah, like this is a guy who works at a community center, and he does it because he enjoys it. He enjoys helping people, and clearly, he and his wife's love of helping others passed on to their son. Hence why Static is a superhero. And I have to point this out as well. He also is ironically, while he didn't know his son was a superhero for the longest time, ironically, he is a huge fanboy when it comes to superheroes in general, to a degree. Especially with retired superhero Soul Power, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Soul power. Soul power.
And due to his experiences and his his psychology and all that, he's an expert on helping people figure out their problems. So give him points for that. Like, he's a good parent, he's a good counselor. I think his only real flaw was sometimes he gets unnecessary. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad parent in that regard, just pointing out that sometimes he has to be more tough on Virgil because Virgil's his son and he loves him to death. So he has to be a tough parent. He's the type of father that, kids need.
Honestly, he's definitely a good guy. He definitely knows how things go and works in the streets. Like, he's very smart. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he does have good wisdom and advice, especially when it needs to be given.
Wait, I've got a few ideas about where he might go.
I don't want your help, Hawkins.
You need my help, like it or not.
Zammy?
He is the Mr. Incredible in the Static Shock verse, minus the superpowers.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Crossy?
He's pretty much a good character and a good and gives good fatherly advice to Virgil, and it somehow can leave an impact on you as a viewer, like if you're old enough.
Not only that, but I have to point out how he says it straight to the point. No matter how much he's no matter how mean he has to be about it sometimes, he gets straight to the point. Like in one specific episode I pointed out, Sons of the Fathers, where Richie ran away because his dad was, being a racist dick towards Virgil. There's a scene that I hope Crossy's willing to put in that shows just how real Virgil's dad will get at you if you fuck up. And he has that message for anybody out there who basically, fosters racism and shit. Basically that it's not okay to do that shit, and you're missing out on the better things in life if you don't accept some diversity. But yeah, it's like I said, to sum it up, he says it like it is, and we couldn't be happier for it, to be honest.
Is that Richie?
Mr. Hawkins, you have to understand the most secret part of a superhero is his secret identity, and well, yes, Richie. Hi, Mr. H.
And that's Robert Hawkins. Like, the next one to discuss, Jean Hawkins, his unfortunately deceased wife. She did play a major role in the series despite being, technically deceased. Just summing it up, she's Virgil's mother who died in the line of duty as a medic, as I mentioned earlier. She refused to turn away from danger or doing the right thing. And she was unfortunately killed by a stray gunshot during a citywide riot several years back. Hence how Virgil, lost his mom.
It wasn't like your mother to hide from danger, Virgil. She was dedicated to her work and to helping people. Nothing would stop her from doing that. And she had a stubborn streak too, just like her kids.
Got that right.
Thing is, what really was the heartbreaking moment was the episode.
Yeah, there was an episode where Virgil got the opportunity to go back in time to hopefully save his mother. And while to a degree he almost succeeded, unfortunately it wasn't enough. She still died, but the last thing she said was that her son was her little superhero. So he did some good.
Here's the thing about this.
Even though time travel is kind of a doozy.
Here's the thing. There are going to be two ways of how time travel is going to work, okay?
Mm-hmm.
One of them is the butterfly effect. If you change it, something bad's going to happen. We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the other type of time travel. Well, I'm going to point this out. That was an ending of Mortal Kombat 11 or something. Where, here's the thing. No matter how much time or effort you try to change this or that, it's still going to happen in a more worse way or a different way possible. It's going to happen eventually. You won't be able to escape it is all, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, be careful and mess with time, kids.
Mm-hmm.
As a time patroller, you
No!
can prevent history.
Go away.
Yeets Trunks out the window. Fuck out of here. Anyway, any thoughts or opinions on Jean Hawkins, basically?
A nice mom.
It's a nice one.
She is nice, mom.
Right now, you're watching Static Shock. Coming up next is an all-new episode of Brave Master. And later, Toonami takes off with Duel Masters.